Hello my dear students. So in this video let us continue with our SQL chapter, and in our previous video we have seen about the features of SQL and then SQL architecture. So let us continue with the further topics. We shall discuss about the schema object. So what is the schema object? Before I start with the explanation, let me give an example. Okay, so here I have a table known as the student, okay, which is actually representing the schema. Okay, schema, or you can also say this one as the object. Now here my table name is the student, which is having its, I can say the table as the student. I can also refer the table as the object. I can also refer the table as the relation. Okay, in our previous video I have shown you the table is also called as the relation. So same way the table is also can be referred to as an object. Why we can, what is an object then? Object is a real world entity that is having its own characteristic. Now I can say this table as to be as the student, that is having its own characteristics known as register number, name, combination and address. Then such kind of table I can refer it as an object, or I can also refer to as a schema object. Why I have to refer it as a schema object? Because we have the fields name, or we have the characteristics. All these characteristics are related with each other, hence we can say this as a schema object. Understood? Okay, now let us see what exactly the definition of the schema object is. Schema is the collection of logical structures of data, or the schema object. Now what is this? What do you mean by logical structures of data? Okay, I shall show you with an example here. Look at this example. Okay, first we shall see about this example. So here I have the two tables known as the student as a table and course student. Now I can refer this as a table, or I can even refer it as an object, or I can even refer it to as a relation. Why I can refer this as an object? Because it is having its own characteristics. Student is having its own characteristics like register number, name, course code, class, subject and marks. Similarly, I can refer even the course student as an object, or I can even refer it to as a table or a relation, because it's having its own characteristics known as course code and register. Now these two tables are logically related with each other. If you observe how they are logically related, by having a common column between them known as the register number as well as the course code. So course code here also we are having that column, and register number also here also we are having. Similarly, register number and course code, that means I can say these two tables are logically related with each other by sharing a common column known as course code and register number between them. Then I can say it is a schema, or the schema object. So therefore what was our definition of schema? Schema is the collection of logical structures of data, or it is also the collection of schema objects. Understood? Then one more example I can give so that you can clearly understand what exactly the schema objects are. Okay, so look at here. How many tables or how many relations or how many objects I have? 4 objects. Understood? The first one is the student object, second course, prerequisite and section. Okay, so I can say this again as an it is an object or a table or the relation. Object I can say, okay, or I can even refer it to as a schema also. Why I can refer it as an object? Because it is having its own characteristics. Student is having its own characters, name, student number, class and major. Similarly, look at the course table. It's having its own characteristics known as course name, course number, credit hours, department. Similarly, prerequisite is having its own characters like course number, prerequisite number. Section is having its own characteristics, section identifier, course number, semester, year and instructor. Now look, observe carefully with these three tables. I can say they are logical structures of data. That means I can say these three tables are logically related with each other by sharing a common column known as the course number. Here also it is there, here also it is there, and here also it is there. That means these three tables are interconnected with each other by sharing a common column. Then I can refer all these to be as the what? That is the schema. I can refer them as the schema object. So it is a schema is nothing but it's a collection of logical structures of data, or you can also say that as a collection of schema objects. Why I can refer them as schema objects? Because they are having their own characteristics. Now I can refer this entire four tables. Leave about this is a different image. Okay, these entire four images four tables. Okay, I can refer it to as a database. Okay, so usually I'll be telling in database we usually store the data in the form of the tables. Now all these are in the form of tables. Okay, this is the table name, and these are the fields or attributes, or you can also refer them as the columns. Only thing here, I have not inserted any records into it. I have not created any rows for it. It is just merely a table name and their fields name. Understood? Then I can refer this to be as the database. Now look at here, figure 2.1. It is a schema diagram for the database. That means what I'm trying to tell here is schema also describes how the data has been stored in the database. So how the data has been stored in the database? In the form of tables. Understood? So by schema we will come to know the object name, we will come to know its fields name, we will even come to know the fields data type and also length of the field, and it also defines the constraints in the database. Now by looking at the schema, we are getting to know what is our object name, that is the student. We are getting to know about the fields name, that is name, student number, class and major. They are the fields name, and looking at these fields, can you make out what are the data type we are using? For the name, what are the different data types we have? We have number data type, we have date data type, date time we have, then we have what? Character, then we have varchar. Understood? Then I can give for the name what? Varchar. What is the difference between character and varchar? Character means purely only alphabets you can store, whereas varchar it is of a variable length, that is you can store the alphanumeric data into it. But suppose if I give the character of 10, if I specify, and if I want to store the name as Rahul there, which is of hardly of 5 bytes. So when I specify the size as character 10, only 5 bytes, RAHUL, only 5 bytes will be stored, and rest of 5 will be filled with the blanks if I'm using the character as data type. If I'm using the data type as varchar, if I'm using the varchar of 10, if I'm using, then what it does, Rahul, it stores with the first 5 bytes, it will store with the RAHUL, and the next 5 it will discard. Rather than storing the blank spaces, it will discard. That means we are saving the memory space. That's it. Okay, so here for the name I can choose the varchar. I'll choose varchar of 10, I'll give as a size. Okay, data type varchar I'll give. For student number, because it's a number type, I can give the data type as number. For the class, again it might be PUC. Okay, then I can go for the PUC1, PUC2. Then I can go for alphanumeric, means I have to go for the varchar. Then major also, major line might be computer sciences major subject, biology or statistics. Then again I have to go for the data type what? As the varchar. So by the schema, we are getting to know the object name, the fields name, the fields data type plus its size also. That means if I'm giving varchar of 10, that means 10 bytes. Student number, so data type here number I'll be using. Number of 5 means 5 bytes. Okay, again here varchar of 2 of 10, if I'm giving 10 bytes. Again for major I'll give varchar of 8, that means 8 bytes. So even the field size also we are getting to know, plus we can also get to know the constraints. Okay, constraints means what? Suppose for an example like not null, unique, these are some of the constraints that are being used in the database. Suppose for the name I'll specify is not null. If I'm specify, constraint is nothing but rule. When I specify that name not null, when I specify, that means it makes sure that whatever, suppose if 10 records if I'm entering for the table known as student, then it makes sure that for the column name there should be no, it should not be null at all. I cannot leave one of the record anyone as the blank space. I have to compulsory make an entry into the field that is name. So these are nothing but they are specifying the constraints. I hope you are able to understand. Okay, so schema, therefore I can also define the schema to be as it is the structure of the database that defines the object in the database. So isn't it, it is actually specifying the structure of the database where it is specifying the objects in the database. Okay, so schema objects are logical data storage structures. I have said that. So the any tables that are sharing with a common column, I can say it is a logical storage structures. Then objects can be clusters, tables, indexed organized tables, views, constraints and indexes. So objects can be clusters. What exactly these clusters? Clusters are the one that are being sharing the common column between the different tables. Then I can refer them as to be as a clusters. Then objects can be tables. I have shown you example. Now student, here it is a table. Then I can refer it to as an object. Understood? Now here I can refer clusters as course prerequisite sections. Okay, they are sharing the common column name known as course number. Then I can refer these to be as the clusters. I hope you are able to understand. Then what is this indexed organized tables? Indexed organized tables, if we are using, it will be a efficient searching. Whenever if I am searching for the student register number, if I am if I am searching for the student name known as the Rahul, okay, about Rahul details I want, if I have to search, and if I am using the indexed organized table, it will efficiently and in a faster way it will fetch the data for me at the time of searching. If I am using the normal tables to search, then it will search the entire 4 tables. Okay, if I am using the indexed organized table, if I am using for the searching purpose, based upon the name column, it will see it will whether the name column is there in the student. Yes, it is there, and it will search, and further it will not go for the checking. Okay, based upon the column name, indexed organized table will start checking. So indexed organized table, in short, you should just know it is one of the efficient way in order to search for any data into the table, in any data into the table or the database. Plus objects can be views. Views means what? Virtual table. Then objects can be constraints. Just now I said not null, unique. Okay, further videos we shall study in detail what is this unique and not null. But unique means for example, if I am giving the register number as a constraint as an unique, if I apply one of the rule as unique, that means no student can have the same register number. All the register numbers should be unique as and when you enter. For the name, if I am applying as not null, means it will make sure that there is no student name should be kept as null. Every student should be have to entered with a certain name. So there are certain constraints in such. Understood? Indexes, at least we know they are the efficient way of searching. So this was all about the schema object. I hope you people have understood it clearly. Okay, in short, you just remember the schema is the collection of logical structures of data. So logical structures means where we are having the relationship among the different tables but having with the common column. Understood? Okay, now moving on to the next topic, that is the SQL commands. Our SQL commands are, for example, they are being used to interact with the relational database, such as by making use of SQL commands like create, select, okay, insert, update, delete and drop. So these SQL commands have been actually classified into group based upon their nature. Okay, so how many groups? They are being classified under the 4 groups. The first one stands for DDL, DML, DCL and the DQL. So DDL actually stands for data definition language. Okay, DML stands for data manipulation language, DCL actually stands for data control language, and DQL stands for data query language. So based upon the nature, SQL commands are being classified under the 4 categories, that is DDL, DML, DCL and the DQL. Okay. So under the SQL commands, under the DDL command, we are going to study about the 3 different SQL commands known as create, drop, alter. Under DQL, we are studying about select command. Under the DML, insert, update and delete. Under the DCL, grant and revoke. So by this time, you will get to know these grant and revoke, they are being used to set the permissions in the database. Am I right? To set the permissions or to give the privileges for the user, which we have discussed in the features of the SQL. By using these 2 commands, we are able to set the permission. And if I want to make any manipulations or the changes in our database, then we are using the commands known as insert, update and delete. If I want to make any modification, then I am using the update. If I want to insert any data into my table, then I am using the insert. Or if I want to delete any records, I am using the delete command. Select, if I want to fetch or access the data into my database, and then I am using the query or the SQL command known as the select command. Then if I need to create or define the data in my database, I am using the create table. By using create table, we will get to know the field's name, fields data type as well as the fields length. And if I want to delete the entire database or the table, then by using the drop command, I am able to delete the table or the database. And if I want to make any kind of modifications, okay, if modifications to the structure of table, then I am using the alter command. I hope the concepts are clear here. So these are the different SQL commands under the different languages. Okay. So let us move on to the first one, that is the data definition language. So data definition language, it actually defines the conceptual schema, providing a link between the logical and the physical structure of the database. Now what exactly is this logical and the physical structure of the database? Suppose think that in the front end I am using an application known as spreadsheet, and in the back end I am using the MS Access as the database. I hope you know that we have studied MS Access to be one of the relational database. Okay, any changes if I make in the back end of my database, suppose for example if I rename my file name, okay, if I rename my file name, or if I relocate the file, maybe I have stored it in some other disk and I'll cut it and paste it in some other location. If I'm making such changes, then there should be no any changes in the user's wave. That means in my Excel file or in my spreadsheet, there should be no any changes. Such kind of changes are being actually referred to as the physical structure. What about the logical structure? Logical structure means, suppose if I have a student table in my database, in my MS Access, if I have a student table and it is having only with the 2 fields like register number and student name, only those 2. At the back end of my database, if I'm adding one more column to it as a combination, then there should be no changes reflecting in my spreadsheet. Okay, whenever I require any data from the database, without having any problem, it should provide me the result. Such kinds of data are usually referred to as an logical database. One example I'll give you, okay, with a real-time example, so that you can understand what is the logical and physical structure of the database. Suppose if you're having a mobile handset, initially you have only one SIM into it, Vodafone SIM you are having. With the help of Vodafone SIM, you are able to get the phone calls and the normal messages. Suppose if you are inserting one more SIM into it, that means at the back end you are making the changes. When you make the changes at the back end, whether when you operate your mobile phone, whether will it make any changes, you will be able to get the calls from Vodafone through the Jio also. You'll be able to get the messages, alert messages or whatever it is, you'll be able to get the messages from the Vodafone SIM, plus you're also able to get the messages from through the Jio SIM also. That means whatever the changes you're making at the back end, it is not reflecting at the time of operation for the user or for the you, isn't it? Similar way in the database also, at the back end, whether it is logical or whether it is a physical, any changes are being done to the database at the back end shouldn't reflect any changes to the user. So that way the data definition language is providing the link. It is providing the link between logical and the physical structure of the database. Understood? Then this DDL actually defines the physical characteristics of each record, okay, that has filed in the record, fields data type, fields length, fields logical name, and also specifies the relationship among those records. Just now I have described the schema. It is nothing but the schema, isn't it? That is the fields name, okay, fields record or the fields data types, that is varchar name, varchar number, date data type, okay, fields length, that is size 10 bytes, 15, 25 bytes. Fields logical name means what? Register number, name, okay, combination. They are the fields logical name, and also specifies a relationship. That means the constraints, okay, constraints like unique, not unique, okay. So such kinds of characteristics we can expect from the data definition languages. That means DDL describes the schema. Just now we have discussed what is exactly the schema. Understood? Then it also indicates the keys of the record. So keys in the sense we have certain keys like primary key, foreign key, okay, so candidate key. We are having the different kinds of keys. So one just example I'll give you. Primary key. Primary key is the one that consists of unique records into it. Suppose for example, I can consider the field name as to be as the primary key. When I apply the constraints as the primary key onto the field known as name, then each name should be unique. So no name can be Rakesh like that. It cannot have a duplicate values in the primary key. When I refer the field as name as primary key, then it will not allow for the duplication values. So such keys also will be indicated by the data definition language. In further videos, practically I'll be showing how many different kinds of keys are there and how we are using it. Understood? Then at the last, it also provides the data security measures. That means until and unless we know what is your table name, until and unless some other person knows what is your table name, okay, what are the fields or what are the data types you are using for the fields, they cannot make any kind of changes to your table. That's how it is providing the security measures. Okay, then lastly, it also provides the logical and the physical data independence. That's what logical and physical data independence means. Whatever the changes you make at the back end, it will not reflect to the user at all. Physical data independence means it actually deals with how the data has been physically stored, whether any file can be relocated or any file can be renamed. That shouldn't make any changes to the user's view. Or logical means, suppose for example, I can add if my table, for example, if a student table is having only 2 fields or the 2 columns, I can add 2 more columns at the back end of my database. I can add 2 more columns and make total for the student table 4 columns, but that should not affect any, or that should not make any changes to the user, whatever he is using in the front end. That means it provides the logical and the physical data independence without any kind of affecting. Data independence means what? The user can easily modify the database without making any effect to the user. That is nothing but the logical and physical data independence. So these concepts will furthermore we will study in once again in detail in the chapter that is database concepts. Right now just what is needed I have explained. Understood? So with the further topics, so about the how many commands we are going to study under data definition language is about create, alter and drop. So these we will study in our next video, students. Take care of yourself. Thank you.